I can already tell this is gonna be horrible. However, let's see what the self-proclaimed godfather of looks maxing has to say about fat loss.
This isn't a health channel, hence why I'm drinking
Well, we're off a good start for a looks maxing channel.
from this microplastic, probably the worst brand of water you can get, the Dasani. I'm not sponsored by them, by the way. Point is, this protocol is my fat loss protocol.
Yeah, keep drinking your microplastics. I'm sure that's gonna make you more attractive.
That's very much effective. This protocol isn't going to be too unhealthy. It's just not going to put your health first, right? It's all about burning the most amount of fat that you can to get you to your goals, to make your face look better, to make your body look better, etc. When it comes to max
Dude, yeah, but the issue is if you don't prioritize your health, none of it is gonna be sustainable. And also, if you want to go down the route of maximizing results as quickly as humanly possible through things like Ozempic, for example, you're gonna get Ozempic face, you're gonna get Ozempic butt, you're gonna get all of these side effects. And on top of that, you don't even know on the long term how that is going to affect you. So at the end of the day, going about it the healthy way is what is going to give you the best results that can actually be sustained over time if you actually rewire your subconscious mind to actually be the person at that weight and not slip back to the older identity. But he's probably not intelligent enough to even understand the connection between the mind and the body to begin with, and how identity plays a role in fat loss overall.
maximizing your appeal, especially with women, it's really just about not being fat or skinny. But, you know, to lean out your physique from whatever you have, you're going to have to follow a fat loss protocol. So I've laid this out for you guys.
No
As you can see
kidding.
here, these are 6 different methods that are going to help you achieve that leanness that we're going for. So the first method is going to
I see a lot of extreme retardation on the board, but let's just have him go over it and we'll answer as we go on. But yeah, this is, oh my fucking god, I can't believe people actually listen to this guy. Holy shit.
be not so controversial. Actually, this one's pretty controversial, my bad. It's the air diet. What is the air diet? You're just going to be chewing gum constantly. Mint gum specifically to curb your appetite. It gives your mouth
Oh yeah, so chew on your petrochemicals, guys. That's gonna make you more attractive for sure. That's definitely not gonna lower your lifespan. That's definitely not gonna age you faster. That's definitely not gonna have adverse effects on basically every aspect of your body. No, just keep chewing your fucking petrochemicals. Jesus Christ, what the fuck is this?
something to do. You also get the benefit of training your masseter muscles, which are located on the side of your face. You know,
Masseter training is legit, it does work, but bro, you're a looks maxer. You're literally like the guy who pretends to be the main character of this entire universe, right? And you don't even know about mastic gum. You don't even tell your audience that, hey, if you don't want to chew on petrochemicals like a fucking slave, at least get mastic gum, which is 100% natural. And then you get to train your masseters, and yeah, you get to reduce your appetite. It is true, chewing gum will reduce your appetite. Why can't you do it naturally? This is surface level knowledge, bro. Come on.
for that extra width in your jaw, it's not going to be too drastic. It's not going to ascend you. It's not going to fix your jaw, but it's just a nice bonus to have stronger and more developed muscles on the side of your cheeks, especially if you're lean. So a great diet right there. So yeah, I recommend
A great diet right there.
to curb your appetite.
Oh yeah, so artificial sweeteners, inflammatory. Again, anything that's inflammatory is gonna cause you a bunch of issues that have to do with aesthetics, such as acne, such as hair loss, such as whatever else. I'm not saying that chewing synthetic gum is gonna like be the biggest factor for those things, but as far as systemic inflammation is concerned, everything counts, everything adds up. So why would you consume this garbage when you could just use mastic gum to get the same effect, right? This is again surface level.
You can see here I did a little drawing of a mouth chewing gum. I tried my best here to illustrate to you guys what each method's about, so bear with me. So that's the air diet.
Okay.
Moving on, we have the diet Pepsi method. Again, what we're doing is we're replacing cravings with other things, other distractions to get your mind off of food. So the diet Pepsi.
Yeah, but you can do that again naturally. You don't need to consume diet Pepsi full of disgusting fucking chemicals that are extremely inflammatory. And on top of that, diet Pepsi, for one, is disgusting. you actually don't have functioning taste buds if you enjoy that slop to begin with. It destroys your gut lining. It is extremely acidic if you consume it over and over. And if you're relying on that shit to lose fat, you're gonna cause yourself a shit ton of systemic inflammation. You're gonna destroy your gut lining, and that's gonna have adverse effects on your aesthetics overall, right? And your longevity. You should never consume that crap. And again, if you want a distraction, consume plain sparkling water. Some people say they don't like it or whatever, but at the end of the day, it's way better than remaining addicted to the same craving that is gonna keep in the back of your mind this need for sweet things, which is just gonna make you relapse easier, right? At the end of the day, if you crave sweet things nonstop and you get bored of Diet Pepsi after a while, you're gonna go for the sweeter things. You're gonna keep falling back to the old identity. You can't do that, right? I'm gonna give you a superior alternative to everything that he says because it's all bullshit. But yeah, just consume sparkling water. You can even combine it with lemon juice. You can even put in a little bit of honey. That's fine. But the point is, this is inflammatory garbage that doesn't actually solve the root cause.
Pepsi method is going to be great. You're going to be replacing every craving with a cold can of Diet Pepsi. It doesn't have to be Pepsi.
It's disgusting, though.
It could be Coke if you're a Coke guy. It could be any brand as long as it's diet, 0 calories. Not only is caffeine from the drink.
I love how you depicted the Pepsi and Coke drinker. At least you know who you're talking to when you're prescribing this kind of advice.
Drink going to blunt your appetite. You know, it's also going to fill your gut with carbonation. And you want to keep it in the fridge. Never want to run out. Never run out of your soda. Never run.
He's teaching you to be a slave. Look, literally, he's teaching you to be a complete and utter slave. Oh yeah, never run out of this. Always have this Kool-Aid that you are relying on to begin with. Don't change your subconscious mind so that you stop craving the sweet garbage to begin with. Don't actually transmute towards healthier things, you know? Don't consume watermelon, which is like extremely hydrating, extremely healthy, has a good nutrition profile while being low calorie. Don't consume watermelon. Don't try sparkling water. No. Just keep destroying yourself. Don't actually transmute the healthy way while also working on your self-concept so that you're not dependent on this crap to begin with. No. You must be a slave. You need to never run out of it because otherwise you're gonna gain 20 pounds overnight. He's basically telling you that you are a drug addicted rat with no will, with no capacity to change whatsoever, so that you need to rely on the Diet Pepsi, on the Diet Coke, because otherwise you're never going to be able to make a meaningful change. You're a slave. You need to rely on that. You want something sweet? Drink it. Just drown yourself into that. Just force yourself into that. This is such bad advice, man.
Run out of your soda, because as soon as you run out, next thing you know you need something else to fixate on, and it's going to be food. Your snacks, your cravings coming back to you, and it's going to be food again, right? And I'm sorry if you're...
But why do you get that craving to begin with? Right? Can't you change the mechanism which makes you get the craving to begin with? Can't you actually change your identity as a person? You know? All these looks maxers talk about all this stupid shit, these stupid methods to do, but none of it actually matters. Even if you know exactly what to do, it doesn't matter if you don't have the self-concept to actually stick to it, to actually adhere to it. That's when you actually need, ironically, to identify as a fit person. That's why, ironically, you have to see yourself as your end goal already. And that will actually trigger the intuition, since you identify with being fit, since you identify with, you know, having abs, whatever your self-concept of being healthy and looking good is. And you're going to get the mental intuition to not binge into your cravings, and you can actually help bridge the gap with healthier alternatives, you know, sparkling water, watermelon, all these different things, so that you don't inflame your body for no reason and cause yourself a bunch of health issues as well as aesthetic issues, because both are connected.
You're fat, the last thing you should be worried about is whether or not it's healthy for you to be drinking Diet Coke. Drink that Coke, get lean, and then afterwards you can quit it. Use it as a tool. You're in 2025, you have drinks that are 0 calories and they taste amazing, and they're going to curb your appetite, so use them. Sleep fasting is...
Also, bear in mind that artificial sweeteners actually downregulate leptin, which is what you should actually be concerned with when losing fat.
Basically, what you're doing is just going to bed early. It's very, very simple. But this maneuver...
Bro, really? Fat loss protocol, you're telling people to go to bed early? I mean, not the worst advice, but like... Is that it?
is going to steer you clear from nighttime binging.
What actually matters when it comes to your sleep is the quality of it, as well as the quantity. Of course, you want to sleep the adequate amount of time your body needs. It needs to be restful, it needs to be uninterrupted. You should obviously block blue light before bed. You should get sunlight in your eyes in the morning. This is all fairly basic stuff to optimize your sleep, right? But he's even gonna mention that. Because sleep quality is very important, because that's when you produce testosterone, that's when your body actually burns fat, that's when your body actually goes through many of its regulatory mechanisms, right? You know, that's when you build muscle, etc. So obviously optimizing your sleep is important, but is he going to talk about how to optimize it more so than just go to bed early? You know, consuming kefir before bed, also very good to help your sleep. Black seed oil before bed, also very good to help your sleep, you know. These are all great natural ways to improve the quality of your sleep. Is he going to talk about that? Well, no, because he doesn't know shit.
Going to be skipping time, skipping that nighttime snacking. 8 to 10 hours is also going to higher your leptin and lower your ghrelin, which is responsible for making you feel hungry and...
Again, the number of hours you sleep has nothing to do with your bedtime. As long as you're sleeping during the night, roughly speaking, to not disrupt your circadian rhythm. But you could go to bed at midnight, you could go to bed at 8, you could go to bed at 7, you could even go to bed at 1 a.m. As long as it's consistent.
And basically your stomach telling you to eat more. I highly recommend you instill this method, not only for the benefit of, not snacking, but also the benefit of getting your sleep in, especially if you're still growing. The no carb method.
I thought he was actually smarter than this, damn. He didn't even mention not eating before bed. You know, leaving a 3-hour window before bed in which you don't eat anything other than easily digestible foods such as kefir, such as black seed oil, these different things, these things that are easily digestible that actually aid your sleep. You can consume beforehand, but any like large meal that is hard to digest, you should not consume before bed, because otherwise, well, during your sleep, you're going to spend a lot of energy digesting, and there's not going to be enough energy left to properly allocate to all these different reparatory processes inside of your body, right? Like, you can't have energy competing for digestion, which is one of the most energetically demanding things in the body, while also trying to repair itself optimally, while also trying to burn fat, while also trying to repair all of these different things in your body optimally. That just doesn't work. But again, he doesn't talk about that. It doesn't matter if you make this board with all these drawings and all these points and you try to sound intelligent with the fucking outfit and the glasses or whatever, if you don't actually have any valuable knowledge to deliver.
Every meal is going to equal what? Lean protein. And I'd recommend a fruit and vegetable only. That's your dessert. Lean protein, fruit and vegetable.
Wait. Number 4, the no carb method proceeds to tell people which carbs they should consume. This guy's hilarious.
No carbs, no bread, no potatoes, none of that stuff. Only if you've walked 10,000 steps, then you can have carbs.
Oh, so no carb method unless you walk 10,000 steps. No carb method unless it's fruit or certain veggies. Like what is this, dude? If you're trying to lose fat, there's no reason for you to ever consume carbs. Literally none. You should be basically relying on your body fat for energy, right? It's self-explanatory. If you're overweight, why would you ever be consuming carbs? Makes absolutely no sense. Now, a lot of people think, oh, but why consume fat? Should you also limit fat? Well, no, because dietary fat is actually what makes up your cell membrane. Your entire body cannot work properly without an adequate amount of fat. Also, you need the cholesterol, which is predominantly found from animal fat, to produce testosterone, to actually produce the hormones that are going to put you in a much higher metabolism, right? The higher your testosterone levels, the better your hormonal regulation is, which all of that comes from a proper intake of dietary cholesterol. The more fat you are going to burn, the more energy you are going to expend just by virtue of existing, right? Because you're metabolically efficient.
Okay, let's make that very clear. Now, on that note, you can also look into 0-calorie foods. There's a lot of foods out there that are going to...
Why? So, oxalates, lectins, like... all this shit is garbage. What are you talking about? Tomatoes might be okay, but even then, why would you consume any of this? That's not gonna fill you up. That's not going to give you any valuable nutrition. Actually, a lot of this is going to damage your gut lining more than anything. Anything that damages your gut lining is going to make it harder to lose fat, because gut inflammation is always going to mess with your metabolism. Why would you do this? Worthless.
To
Jeez.
fill your stomach up with volume to make you feel satiated. In reality, they're very much.
You're not going. I mean, I guess. But guess what? First of all, you're not going to feel satiated whatsoever. Second of all, you know how you become satiated? By actually following no carb, by discarding all of the crap that you're currently telling people to do, and you consume pounds of meat. That's it. If all you can eat is meat, then by definition, you're never going to be in a calorie surplus, right? Can you eat 1 kilo of steak a day? Like, it's very, very difficult. It's much more difficult. Whereas if you try these low carb, low calorie options, whatever, you're just going to consume a ton of it plus the meat that you're already consuming. It's completely useless, not to mention the inflammatory compounds that those things contain. Like, this guy is introducing you to the no carb method and proceeds to talk only about carbs the entirety of the time, not even mentioning what you should actually consume, such as meat, eggs. You should probably avoid dairy because it's not as filling and it can cause issues in some people. But yeah, literally, just consume lots of fatty fish, consume lots of eggs, consume lots of meat, and that's it, you're done. Get some liver in for the micronutrients, and that's it. Over-consuming animal foods is extremely hard.
0 calories, like shiitake noodles or zucchini noodles. They're very low in
What the
calories.
fuck
and
is
can fill you
that?
up whilst keeping you in a deficit. So definitely.
Oh yeah, keep recommending me more carbs on the no carb method. Holy shit.
Noodles, and yeah, no bread, just keep eating lean protein. The next method is a little bit controversial. It's called the PSL.
Why lean protein? Again, you need fat. You talk about satiation. Well, fat is extremely satiating. And if you just replace all of your carbs with fat and protein, you're gonna be on a calorie deficit in 90% of cases. Especially if you get sunlight, that's also very good for leptin. And if you live an active lifestyle, obviously, like all of those things compound. Why did you spend ages telling me which carbs to consume on a no carb method? I still can't wrap my head around that. This guy's lack of self-awareness is crazy.
So the next method is kind of controversial. It's going to be the PSL dinner method.
What the fuck is that,
Essentially, what you're doing
dude?
is you're getting your plate of food, you're sitting in front of the TV or whatever screen you're in front of, and you're going to play edits of PSL 9s and 10s on your screen.
What the fuck is this, bro? Oh my god. I'll let him cook. Maybe this is some kind of mind reprogramming method that I wasn't aware of.
This is going to instinctively make you compare yourself and thus making you self-aware of what you're consuming. Like I said, it's going to trigger comparison, subconsciously lowering your appetite. It's also going to serve as a reminder of what you're not, because no dopamine means no binging. Simple equation. Now, jokes aside, you can watch something informational that's, going to help you with your presentation, your health. So you can watch any health YouTubers, me, for instance, or body.
Oh, but I thought this wasn't a health video, okay, Shami. What are you talking what, bro, is he doing this on purpose to rage bait? Like the blatant hypocrisy? I swear that this, yeah, he has to be trolling, right? Oh, watch health YouTubers such as me. Meanwhile, the diet Pepsi method, the air diet, chew on your petrochemicals, no carb method, except you should consume these inflammatory carbs. Oh yeah, no mention of sunlight, no mention of the things that actually move the needle. Well, other than the needles themselves that he's gonna tell you to inject, because obviously you're a worthless little slave, you don't have any agency, so you need drugs in order to accomplish one of the easiest things in the world, which is losing fat, right? This isn't hard, this is actually shockingly easy. And if you need drugs, if you need Ozempic, if you need retatrutide to lose fat, then you just don't have any individual will. Mentally, you're a weakling. There's no other way to put it.
Builders, I don't recommend it, but yeah, anything that's going to get you a bit more self-conscious of what you're eating is going to help you in the long run. Now, the next method we have is the fat killer. This one's controversial. It's essentially pharmacology.
There is something to what he says about, surrounding your environment and the content that you consume with people that look amazing, so that it makes you feel self-conscious to want to be like them. However, for a lot of people it can discourage them and it can just be like, well, I'm not going to be like those guys anyways, fuck this, I'm just going to binge, right? So it really depends on the person. Not everyone responds to the same kind of motivation, but you should download programs into your head which are conducive to getting you healthy, to getting you fit. Obviously, he is right about that. You should essentially flood your content with things that reaffirm this identity that you're trying to attain, because it's always identity first, changes later. You can never make a single change unless your identity has been shifted first, right? And that's why a lot of things that he talks about is completely useless, because all you have to do is do the identity shift. And when you are a fit person, when you are this disciplined person that everybody looks at you and you're like, oh damn, you lost a lot of weight, you actually have to think about how people are going to treat you once you achieve the desired result, how they will notice those changes, how they will praise you. And you just live in that reality. You imagine it on a daily basis, and that's going to keep you accountable. That's going to give you the greatest intuitions to remain on that path. That's how you rewire the subconscious mind to assume the identity, so that then reaching the goal becomes much more effortless. You're not going to need to drown yourself in Diet Pepsi like a slave. You're actually just going to do it, right? But again, he doesn't go deep enough into that.
If you're under the age of 18, please, of all these methods, don't look into this. What you're doing is you're getting a peptide. It's called retatrutide.
Really? But your buddy Clavicular started this stuff when he was 15, and he encourages people to start this stuff way earlier than that. And does this guy not even understand that, like, the majority of his audience, or at least 50%, is minors? And that by watching his content, they're likely gonna watch Clavicular, and Clavicular is gonna tell him, nah, dude, start blasting China at 14, whatever it takes to ascend, brah. Doesn't he understand the kind of ripple effect that is caused by him promoting this stuff and still trying to sort of draw the line, but it's blurry because he hangs out with this kind of person? Like, come on, dude.
There's other ones out there, but there's always new stuff coming out. And retatrutide is known as a triple threat. It's going to target your appetite, your insulin, and your basal metabolic rate. Think of Ozempic.
If you are constrained by appetite, then you're a slave. I'm sorry, like, you actually need to train your mind. You do realize that when you're hungry, you can just not eat, right? I know it's a shocker. I know it's a realization that people, it actually takes a lot of time to sink in for some people, but when you are hungry, you can just not eat, right? And guess what? Just like any other emotion, it eventually reaches back to baseline. You're gonna get spikes of hunger, and if you resist, it's gonna go back down and you'll be okay again. If you actually need your appetite artificially suppressed, then you're an animal. You don't have a will. You can't actually command your body to conform to your thoughts, to what it is that you actually wish for. And if you can't do that, then it's over. How do you expect to do anything in this life, honestly?
As a predecessor to this, it's been out for longer, it's FDA approved and whatnot, but it only targets one pathway, which is going to be your appetite. It's going to suppress your appetite. So it's great for soccer moms. And then we have something like Mounjaro. I don't even know if I said that right, but Mounjaro is definitely better than Ozempic, but retatrutide still mogs. A separate video on pharmacology on its own, but I figured I'd mention it here because it truly is the way of going about burning fat if you truly don't care about your health and you're just trying to get results. And it's not a steroid.
But dude, that's the problem. If you don't care about your health, then you're gonna get other adverse effects on your looks. And you know that what I'm saying is correct, because, for example, if you could get your dream physique without steroids, would you take steroids? No, because you know that steroids take away a bunch of other aspects of your health and attractiveness. You are much more prone to hair loss when you take steroids. You are much more prone to acne, and you're gonna need to take drugs to counteract those side effects. But those drugs that you are taking to counteract the side effects have their own side effects. When you go down the enhanced route, you need to turn yourself into an entire pharmacy to control for each and every single variable, when all you could have done is realize that, hey, you can build an amazing physique naturally. It's gonna take more time, but at least it's yours. At least it's gonna last you a very long time without any adverse effects, right? And you're not gonna need to deal with the complications of sourcing your pharmacology and all this garbage, let alone traveling with it, let alone all this mental anguish. And it's like, bro, there are people with natural physiques that look 10 times better than clavicular. That looks 10 times better than all of these trend blasters that are promoting gear, you know? But again, they can do whatever they want. That is their ethos. I'm just saying that for most people that are just trying to be more attractive, that are just trying to actually anti-age themselves the right way, looks maxing is completely irrelevant if you can't actually reduce your biological clock, right?
And it's not a SARM, it's just a peptide, research chemicals that you're injecting in your body. You do it like once.
Oh yeah, just research chemicals you're injecting in your body, which the long-term effects of intaking them is unknown, is completely and utterly unknown. Oh yeah, that's not a big deal. It's funny how he's trying to force himself to say it nonchalantly while knowing fully well that it's not something that he would actually do, right? This is all just stuff that is coming from clavicular that has been injected into his brain, right?
Once a week, and it'll appetite suppress you, boost your metabolic rate. There's a whole lot more benefits when it comes to it, and the side effects are really just nausea and a couple of little things. But long term, we're not too.
Oh yeah, nausea, you know, just a couple of little things. You know, again, downplaying the potential side effects, right? It's hilarious. Oh yeah, just having nausea on a recurring basis, that's nothing, that's no big deal.
Sure. Keep in mind, it's still in clinical trials, and if it reaches that stage, usually that's a good sign. That means humans are trying it out. There's thousands of people using it, and they're using it recreationally without supervision. But the other ones are available with supervision, so you can get Ozempic, you can get anything else that's going to assist you with your fat loss journey. I highly recommend using retatrutide.
Bro, like, again, I've seen the pictures of Ozempic face. I've seen the pictures of Ozempic butt. That's not something that I would do even if I was a fat ass, right? At the end of the day, it's much better to actually invest into yourself, invest into rewiring your mind, either yourself or with a coach or whatever, so that you actually become the person that is fit and that can maintain it effortlessly because you've changed your self-concept, so you're not a slave to this highly addictive, palatable foods, which he is teaching you to keep that slavery addiction with things like Diet Coke and Diet Pepsi, right?
If you're very keen and you don't care about your health and you want to use the best thing that's out there, it's going to be retatrutide. But
how can you be a looks-maxing YouTuber trying to help people, trying to spread the truth, and also tell them, oh yeah, if you don't care about your health, then do this? It's like, it's just crazy to me, because if you don't have health, you don't have anything. Doesn't matter how much you mog if you're in the hospital. Doesn't matter how much you mog if you die at 35, if you die at 45. Doesn't matter how much you mog if it's for a very short amount of time, then you crash and die. That's what happened to Ziz, for example. Like, dude, you can actually mog while being healthy, because being healthy is a gateway to mogging if you actually do it correctly. You don't actually need to drug yourself. You don't actually need to do any unnatural procedures to ascend and to become more attractive. It just takes more time. It just takes more consistency. It just takes more dedication. But at the end of the day, what you are left with is something that you can actually be proud of, because you actually changed your identity, because you actually stuck to something long term and you saw the fruits of that, right? And you get to keep that for way longer periods of time. At the end of the day, all of this garbage is going to age you much faster than if you did it the natural way. That is objectively a fact. If you look at the victims of Ozempic, they all look significantly older after using it, even after losing the fat. Oh, also, this is where what they failed to mention is that things like retatrutide and Ozempic and whatever also burn muscle. They also burn bone mass, right? They actually reduce your overall weight. It's not just about burning fat, right? All of your tissues are being burned on those drugs. So in order to even qualify for retatrutide and all those things, you need to be on steroids in order to preserve the muscle mass, in order to preserve the bone mass. So again, by telling people to take this, you are telling them that they need to take steroids. You can't take this stuff while being natural, because otherwise you'll be completely emaciated, and that's not attractive. We want bone mass, we want muscle.
Supervision, you care about what the FDA has to say, then you can try Ozempic or even Mounjaro. So that's what I have for you guys when it comes.
I don't care what the FDA has to say, but all of this is garbage, whether they approve it or not.
To your fat loss protocol is going to be the best way of going about losing weight. I'm
really?
talking about fat specifically.
The best way?
I do not recommend losing weight if you're under the age of 18 or you're still growing.
What? What?
Keep yourself nourished and try your best to grow the most that you can during that time.
What the fuck are you? Oh my god! Dude, this guy like double-digit IQ? Oh my god. Dude, I can't actually stand how these are the authorities on looks maxing nowadays. Bro, if you are during puberty and you are massively overweight, a lot of your androgenic hormones are going to be converted into estrogen. You know what that means? That means your growth plates are going to close faster, and on top of that, you're not going to develop as dimorphically as you could, because it is a well-known fact that the higher body fat you are, especially above 20%, the less testosterone you have, the more it gets aromatized into estrogen. So therefore, you get less dimorphic development. You literally are not going to grow as tall due to the higher estrogen content in your blood that's going to fuse your growth plate earlier on. What kind of advice is that? You absolutely need to lose fat while you are growing during puberty. Now, don't starve yourself, obviously. I know the reason he's saying that is because you should nourish yourself well in order to grow properly. But you can't do that without being a fat ass. Right? He's telling people that they should not lose fat whatsoever if they're under the age of 18. Do you realize how damaging that message is? Not to mention how that's going to affect the person's confidence, the way they are being treated by other people in their most formative fucking years. And then it's going to be significantly harder for them to change later due to the abused dog syndrome that is caused by that. Because Shami told them to not lose weight until they're 18. And then they're shorter than they should actually be. Their bones haven't developed how they actually should have. And I could mention 10,000 different more examples as to why growing up a fat ass is bad. This is actual insanity, man. I can't believe that he actually uploaded this video. Maybe he didn't rewatch it back or something possessed him or whatever. I don't know. But like, this is bad, man.
I could have made this video like this whole scientific thing, like every other channel and video that talks about weight loss, where you get your maintenance calories and then you want to calculate how much your deficit should be every day. I feel like that's
I mean, yeah, this is kind of garbage. This can help, like if somebody is really autistic and they work really well with numbers, and you know, this can work, but overall it's completely unnecessary. You should get to the point where you intuitively know what to eat in order to get to your goals, right? The point is to change your identity so that these things are effortless, not to, you know, become a slave to the fucking numbers and whatever. This is just going to create so much unnecessary friction. Some people do it that way, but that's not how I operate. I do recommend to start with calories, because if you don't know anything, then it's way better to do it like this than to just be driven by your impulses left and right. You know, it's only when you have more experience that you can sort of do things intuitively. But yeah.
I have a debloating powder coming out very soon. It's going to be a month from now.
Okay.
So if you'd like to sign up for that, it's going to be in the description below. Just tap that first link. It's going to take you to text messages. Once you tap that sign up button for the waitlist, and you'll get a notification when it first drops before anyone else. I've been working on the formula. It's going to be amazing. And apart from that, I do have a Discord. Please check that out.
So since he uploaded this video, his debloating formula has gone out, and I couldn't find a single transformation where it actually shows the debloating, other than, you know, camera angle tricks and whatever. But the problem that I have with his whole approach on debloating is that, again, he doesn't actually teach you how to properly debloat, which 90% of it is losing fat, and not the way that he talks about it. Because again, facial bloating, facial water retention is caused, a huge factor of it, guess what, is gut inflammation. Now, consuming synthetic gums full of petrochemicals is going to cause gut inflammation. Consuming diet soda is going to cause gut inflammation. He doesn't talk about properly hydrating yourself either, through things like mineral water, fruit, watermelon. Juicing is very, very good for hydration, or, you know, raw meat consumption can also hydrate you really, really well. He doesn't talk about any of that. He doesn't talk about the fact that the sun, actual proper sun exposure, will debloat you quite significantly if you do it over a long time frame. He doesn't talk about that. It's just, sodium and potassium ratios, which are complete BS. Like, if you go back to my older videos, you will notice that I'm quite bloated in the face, whereas now I've decently increased in sharpness, right? None of it was through sodium or potassium ratios or whatever. All of it was just through more sun exposure, cutting fat, knowing how to properly hydrate myself, reducing systemic inflammation, more specifically gut inflammation, you know? It's funny how this guy literally says, oh yeah, I'm not a health channel. Yeah, of course you're not a health channel, because you want to sell people on the idea that instead of fixing their health, they should buy your dog shit powder. Like, what the fuck, dude? God, this was embarrassing. Why couldn't we just leave this guy back in 2023? Like, seriously. You might think I'm a little aggressive, but at the end of the day, A lot of people do trust this guy. A lot of people will follow this advice. A lot of people will religiously do all of this just because of the platform that this guy has, and it's gonna lead to terrible outcomes, right? And I just don't want that for you. Anyways, if you're still watching, I really appreciate you, and as always, keep ascending.